Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of my video blog. It's been a bit quiet on the blog recently. I've not done an awful lot of flying because, as you can see here, through windy.com, there is quite a considerable storm coming through the UK at the moment. It's called Ophelia, and with it is gusty winds and lots of wet weather, so it's meant I've been on the ground quite a lot. On top of that, I've been on holiday, so I was in Spain last week, so did a quick flight with British Airways into Gibraltar and back. So that was good fun. Unfortunately not at the controls, as you can imagine. So what that's meant though is I've had loads of time to do some more reading in terms of my principles of flight study. And whilst it's not the easiest topic to grasp, I think I've kind of started to get it now. So what I'll probably do for my next blog is share some of my revision notes and ways that I've been writing it up to try and get the formula in here so that when I'm doing the exams I can recall them easily. So I'll save that for another session once I've written up the notes. So now I'm on to reading about the elements of an engine, so a piston-driven engine, which is really cool actually, because obviously in my flying lessons I'm around the aircraft all the time. So actually to start learning some of the theory about some of the switches that you use whilst you're doing a flight, for example, is pretty cool and quite useful. So the last lesson I had was probably about 2 weeks ago, and it was on medium rate turns. So that's banking the aircraft at about 30 degrees, coordinating it with the rudder so you don't slip or slide into the turn, and then holding the right pitch so that the aircraft doesn't lose or gain altitude in the turn. So that was really good fun actually. I think I found it easier to turn left than right, which was really interesting, but the picture that you see out of the window is obviously different depending on which way the aircraft's turning, and for whatever reason I found it not easy but easier to turn to the left. But when I was turning to the right, I couldn't get the back pressure right, so I was constantly losing height, so that when I'd finished my turn I'd lost about between 50 and 100 feet, which is something that I want to try and avoid. So something that I need to pay attention to next time. One of the things that was really cool though is, obviously because I was learning turning, we were doing like 360 degree turns just so that we could see that I could hold the turn in a balanced way. And once you finish the turn you get like a big bump, and it was really noticeable, and that was us flying into our own wake turbulence, which was quite exciting, I guess, quite fun. And also that showed that by the time I'd done that, I was able to hold the aircraft, so it was actually staying at the right height to hit its own wake turbulence, so a good sign. But again, I really need to focus on not losing altitude. Working out how much back pressure you need to hold on the control column is something that I found quite difficult, so next time I get to fly I want to give that a go. Another thing that was really interesting about this lesson was my usual flying instructor was running behind on his other lessons that day, and so I was flying with another instructor that I hadn't met before, and obviously that's absolutely fine, but it was a little bit nerve-wracking actually, because suddenly someone who hasn't flown with me before, doesn't know my ability, was keeping an eye on me, and just naturally instructors have different things that they'll pick up on, different ways of working themselves, and so I found it not off-putting but just a little bit weird to have someone else pointing out things to do differently, and some things which I think I'd already parked in mentally because I thought I knew how to do it, actually I was getting some bits and bobs wrong. So it's still a great learning opportunity, and cool to kind of show someone else what I'd already learned so far, so I was quite happy with that. I don't think I scared him in any way, I think it was safe, so generally speaking happy with how the lesson went. Also, it was another lesson in the working week at the end of a busy day at work, so again, it was quite interesting to see how little mental capacity I had because I'd been at work that day. So I'm really trying to get it so that my lessons in future are at the weekends, just because I feel like I'm in a much better frame of mind to learn than when you're doing it at the end of a busy day in the office. So the next thing I wanted to tell you is I've managed to get myself a new headset. I don't have it with me here where I'm recording this video, but I'm so chuffed that I was able to get the Bose A20 headset. I actually got it off eBay from a guy who had it for about 12 months but only used it for like a couple of weeks. So it's pretty much pristine, and I got it for £680 plus postage. And I got it, and it's pretty much as new. So can't wait to get into an aircraft and give it a go to make sure it's good. But I already tried it on at home, and even just the noise cancelling with the noise in the living room was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Can't wait to use that in my next lesson. I've also completed a couple of applications this week. So EasyJet are recruiting for an MPL course, and British Airways actually today have just announced that they're looking for some cadets. And part of me just wants to go through the selection process just to understand what it's like and whether I could do it. But unfortunately, both of these schemes are looking for people to self-fund. The British Airways has two routes. One is for an MPL and one is for a frozen ATPL. And they're both £115,000 for the course. And the EasyJet one is about £120,000. And I have nothing in terms of that kind of money, so there's no way that I'd be able to go for it. But someone recommended that I at least go through the selection process just to understand whether I'm selectable as an airline pilot, because that can inform me in terms of decision making that I make as I go through the modular routes. But also, in no way, shape or form do I want to sound arrogant at all, but some of the airlines will, on a very rare basis, choose to sponsor someone to go through training. And I just wonder if there's the slimmest possibility that I could be the candidate that they would sponsor. That would be an amazing opportunity. So I'm kind of tempted to go for it just to see what happens. The selection process has a cost associated to it. I think with L3 it's about £295 to go for the 2-day selection, and then they offer you a placement after that. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens, but with a completely realistic out on my head, to know that it's unlikely that BA or EasyJet will look at me as someone that they'd like to sponsor. I don't know. What always happens when these opportunities come up, I see them, I read so much to make sure I'm not missing an opportunity to get sponsorship, and then at the end of it I feel a bit sad because there's just no way that I'm going to get my hands on £120,000. So it does make me feel a bit gutted. So it just brings us back to what I said in the blog, I'm sure, a few weeks ago, which is it seems like the modular route is the only way for me. So full steam ahead, keep going with what I'm doing. I can't really be doing any more than I'm doing now. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this episode. As I said, ready for the next time, I will carve some time out to write up my revision notes for the principles of flight. Perhaps some of you out there will help me to find easier ways of doing these calculations, because I'll be honest, it's not coming naturally to me. And one thing I should note actually for you is, and I'll include it in the link, I'll include the link in the bio of this video, is on YouTube, someone has posted all of the CAA, the Oxford Aviation School flying syllabus for the ATPL, and it's a mixture of kind of slides and voiceover that talk you through principles of flight as one of the topics, for example. I've actually found it really useful because I'm using the Pooley's books to study at the moment, but sometimes just hearing someone talk you through it and showing a bit of a graphic to help you understand it can be helpful. It's certainly helped me with a couple of the areas, and I think that's kind of what cemented my thoughts about being able to understand principles of flight a little bit better. As I said, I'll write up that for the next episode, and I'll take you through it so you can see what I've learned so far. So for now, as usual, just up on the screen, my Twitter and Instagram feed, so you can see all of the images that I take and the posts, and of course you can contact me through those channels if you've got any ideas or topics that you want me to cover in future episodes. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you all again soon. Take care.